One of the most frequently discussed general guidelines in the field of financial independence is the 4% rule. The most crucial aspect is that it is straightforward and is based on research. Thus, in today's video, we'll discuss in-depth on the 4% rule so you can start using it. It's your own individual path to financial freedom. My name is Robert with Financial and Investment Wisdom, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel, where we learn to gradually increase our fortune. So let's start with the origin narrative to get things going. What was the original source of the 4% rule? Turn the calendar back to 1998. The appropriate withdrawal rate from an investment portfolio piqued the interest of 3 Trinity University professors. They therefore conducted a large number of scenarios to find out. They applied various withdrawal rates, ranging from 3 to 12% over a 30-year period to numerous portfolios, each with a distinct mix of stocks and bonds. A 50/50 stock-to-bond portfolio that had been adjusted for inflation was found to be able to maintain its value 96% of the time with a 4% withdrawal rate. This indicates that if your portfolio consisted of 50/50 stocks and bonds, you would have a $1 million investment. Yet there was a 96% chance that your portfolio would still be intact after 30 years if you removed 4% from it each year for 30 years in a row. Simply put, you are effectively financially independent if you can survive on 4% of your investment assets. Also, if we apply the inverse of 4%, we would need to amass a sum equal to 25 times our annual outlays in order to achieve financial independence. Let's examine a few instances. If your annual expenditure is currently $40,000 and you intend to keep it that way, you would need a $1 million portfolio. $1 million x 4% equals $40,000. You would require a $2 million portfolio if you spent $80,000. 4% of $2 million equals $80,000. The identical outcome would be obtained if you multiplied your spending by 25. $1 million is equal to $40,000. $2 million is equal to $80,000 times 25. Naturally, we should point out that there is no assurance that our money will remain intact forever, as this is dependent on other variables, such as inflation and real investment returns, which are outside our control. In order for you to apply the 4% rule to your future planning, let me share with you a few essential conclusions that you should remember. The 4% rule should be utilized as a general guideline rather than a strict rule, which is the main lesson to be learned from it. The stock market is a rag. Interest rates are dynamic. Also unpredictable is the economy. In other words, using the 4% to calculate how much money you need to be financially independent is like to using Google Maps to calculate how long it will take you to commute to work. When you enter your destination into Google Maps, an approximation of the travel time is displayed. The 4% rule is comparable. It provides a ballpark estimate of how long your trip will take or how long your money will last. There are a ton of things that go into this driving estimate, just like there are a ton of market considerations. The hour, the flow of traffic, or a significant unforeseen accident on the way. If you choose to travel to work during rush hour, it can take you an extra 30 minutes, but you might arrive 30 minutes sooner if you decide to drive to work at 1 in the morning. The average driving time offers you a ballpark indication of how long the drive might take, but the actual driving time might vary depending on a lot of other factors. The 4% guideline can also be used to predict your retirement income roughly, or if you have arrived halfway. However, the precise execution will depend on when you retire and the market conditions at that time. Also, it might be impacted by how you behave on a daily basis. What happens if, after retirement, you no longer need to pay for commuting to work, causing your expenses to decrease? The likelihood that your money will last longer then rises. Naturally, the opposite is also true. The likelihood that your money will endure lessens if your expenses rise after retirement owing to health issues or other factors. Take the 4% as a starting point, and you can then modify if you come across new ground conditions. The 4% rule also teaches us that having a significant salary is not a requirement for retiring, even a premature retirement. It's simple to believe that having a large income is necessary in order to preserve enough money for a comfortable retirement, a number of 6 figures. Yet, when we perform the 4% calculation, we realize that we are not at all discussing revenue. In essence, everything is determined by how much money we need to survive their costs. Thus, in theory, You are financially independent if you live simply and earn enough money to expand your portfolio to that 4% level. Let's examine a case in point. Consider that we have two people, a physician making $400,000 in high income and a carpenter making $40,000 in low income. Also, their lifestyle is dependent on their income. The physician who has $400,000 enjoys a lifestyle where 90% of his salary is spent. He spends $360,000 a year on his large home, expensive cars, and lavish trips. He may only set aside 10% of his income for retirement as a result, roughly $40,000 per year. Also, the carpenter spends 90% of his money on his way of living. He spends $36,000 a year on accommodation, food for his family, and inexpensive weekend getaways. Thus, he also saves 10% of his income, roughly $4,000 each year. Now, there is a big difference between $40,000 and $4,000. The amount that the doctor is saving is 10 times what the carpenter is saving. Yet, the amount of time they have left until they may retire is actually the same. Isn't that ironic? The doctor requires 25 times the $360,000 to support his lifestyle based on the 4% rule, around $9 million. The craftsman requires 25 times the $36,000 in order to support his way of life, around $900,000. For both, it will take them roughly 38 years to reach financial independence. If they both save and invest 10% of their income each year at an average return of 8%. Keep in mind that a doctor makes 10 times what a carpenter does. But because of his lifestyle costs, they are both retiring at the same time. Financial freedom does not necessarily require a high salary. Due to the high standard of living that many people with high incomes must maintain, it may really be a disadvantage for many. The third major lesson from the 4% rule is how crucial it is to stay away from funds with excessive fees. And when I mention high fees, I believe that any funds with expense ratios greater than 0.25% are excessive. Investment advisors frequently charge an annual fee of 1% expense ratio for actively managed fees. Some even reach 2%. The 4% rule is effectively undermined by this. Instead of withdrawing 4% from your investment when you must pay an advisor 1% of your cash annually, you can only withdraw 3%. And this really adds up if you have a substantial nest fund. Imagine you put a lot of effort into building a $1 million portfolio. In practice, this implies that if you can survive on $40,000 a year, you are now financially independent. Consider, however, that a 1% expense investment manager is managing your $1 million portfolio. For managing your investments, you pay the investment manager $10,000 a year. Now contrast that with the price of an inexpensive index fund like the VTSAX Vanguard Total Market Index Fund, my preferred index fund, personally. The expenditure ratio for VTSAX is 0.04%. This indicates that, for a $1 million investment portfolio, Vanguard will only require a $400 yearly fee to safeguard and manage this fund on your behalf. I don't know about you, but I would always choose $400 over $10,000. Worst of all, though, is how few of these actively managed funds outperform the index over time. Vanguard conducted a 15-year study in 2013 on more than 1,500 actively managed equities funds and discovered that 82% of the funds underperformed the basic index. But actively managed mutual funds will never make the claim that their track record is poor. Instead, they just bury the unsuccessful ones and introduce new funds to draw in fresh investors. Hence, all predictions from this study are virtually incorrect when we start paying active mutual fund managers a 1 to 2% annual charge. To put the final nail in the coffin of this conclusion, the Trinity study did not account for the possibility that investment management fees could lower return throughout the course of the portfolio. In light of the Trinity study and high fees, Wade Faw, professor of retirement income at the American College for Financial Services, made this observation. A 4% withdrawal rate over 30 years with a 50/50 stock-to-bond portfolio has a 96% success rate. The success percentage falls to 84% when the portfolio fees are set at 1% though. The success rate then reduces to 65% at 2% cost. Always avoid paying excessive fees. You aren't making any money. Only the overpriced fund manager is. Investing in low-cost index funds and handling your own investments would be much better for you. The importance of taking chances with your assets is the fourth major lesson to be learned from the 4% rule. Having an adequate number of equities in your portfolio is necessary. The amount we can withdraw is the major topic while discussing the 4% guideline. We must remember, nevertheless, that the asset allocation has a significant impact on the likelihood that this plan will work. The distribution of bonds and stocks. According to the Trinity Studies simulation of different asset allocations, the success rate varies significantly depending on the proportion of stocks and bonds in your portfolio. The success rate of a 4% yearly withdrawal rate, for instance, is 100% over a 30-year period for a portfolio with 75% equities and 25% bonds. When withdrawals are adjusted for inflation, the success percentage falls to 96% when the stock-to-bond composition is changed to 50-50. Depending on the percentage of equities we own in our portfolio, it keeps decreasing from there. The success percentage falls to 80% for 25% stocks and 75% bonds. Finally, the success rate falls to 35% at 100%. This means that the likelihood that your money will last you for the next 30 years is only 35% if you are extremely risk conservative and elect to hold only bonds in your portfolio. Your failure rate is 65%. The simple line is that a portfolio's ability to survive depends on its ability to hold equities. Stocks do carry risk. Yes, they fluctuate greatly and follow the whim of the market, and that can be frightening for many. Avoid losing your subsequent egg. Risk comes with reward though, so we must take some risks if we want to benefit from them. It might not be entirely in stocks, but at least 50% or even 75% might be. My favorite crucial insight from the 4% rule is number 5. That's why, to be able to retire earlier, spending less is essential if you want to achieve financial freedom sooner. I had a hard time understanding the 4% rule's application when I first heard about it. I find the 25x my lifestyle extremely intimidating. Yet I soon came to understand that controlling my expenses, rather than my income, was the key to achieving my financial independence goal. Or, to be more precise, the cost of my way of life. We had trouble saving even 10% of our salary when we initially began investing our money. We had infants to take care of, and it seemed like we were constantly having to incur additional costs to keep up with our neighbor's way of life. I thought, how am I going to earn enough money to pay off 25 times my expenses? Nevertheless, I had a light bulb moment when I recognized what would happen if I reduced my lifestyle rather than trying to hit a 4% percentage connected to my current lifestyle. We could accomplish our aim more quickly if we had less financial necessity. We became extremely pleased and enthusiastic when we realized that every dollar we eliminated from our budget would allow us to accomplish our 4% goal sooner. One of the most well-known financial independence writers, Mr. Money Mustache, published a post in 2012 titled "The Surprisingly Easy Arithmetic Behind Early Retirement." In essence, he asserted that financial independence and savings rate are intimately tied to one another in the paper. There are two things that truly occur when our savings rate increases. One, we are increasing our investments and saving more money. Yet the magic truly occurs in the second, more underappreciated portion. We make savings, and when we cut back on our spending, the amount of money required to achieve financial independence decreases. Let's imagine, for illustration purposes, that we make $100,000 per year and spend $80,000 on our way of life. This indicates that our savings rate is 20%. At a projected yearly return of 8%, you need to accumulate a nest egg that can support $80,000. Therefore, it will take you roughly 28.5 years before you can retire. Let's assume, though, that you decide to live simply and reduce your income to $50,000 a year. Forget about after-school programs for children, and you can travel for free forever. Your savings rate effectively rises to 50%. You now need less money to support your new lifestyle since you are saving more. How many years will it take you to achieve financial independence? Around 14 years. Your retirement period was halved. This perspective makes you begin to believe that the after-school program was overrated in any case. Right? Guys, that's it. The 4% rule of thumb is a fantastic way to track your progress toward financial freedom. Use it to calculate your distance from your number. Thank you for watching. And if you're interested in learning more about the types of investments you should make to become financially independent, you can view some of my films right here. I wish you well. Until the next time.